Many people feel pain. It can be a sharp ache after an injury or a long, dull throb that never seems to fade. They go to a doctor seeking relief. The doctor often writes a prescription for pills. At first, these pills can feel like a miracle. They mute the pain, calm the nerves, and allow for rest. But for a growing number of people, this initial relief slowly morphs into a new kind of prison. The pills that were meant to heal begin to cause a different, deeper kind of harm. This is the quiet, creeping crisis of prescription pill addiction, a problem that hides in plain sight, affecting our neighbors, our colleagues, and our families. It is an epidemic that doesn't scream from the headlines but whispers from behind closed doors, growing in silence and misunderstanding. The story often begins in the most ordinary of ways. Picture a person recovering from a necessary surgery, like a knee replacement. The doctor prescribes a powerful painkiller to manage the post-operative discomfort. The pills work exactly as intended, dulling the intense pain and allowing the body to begin its healing process. The person feels a sense of calm and well-being they haven't felt in a long time. After a few weeks, the physical pain from the surgery has lessened significantly, yet the person finds themselves reaching for a pill anyway. The body has started to adapt to the drug, and the brain has learned to crave the peaceful, detached feeling it provides. This is not a moral failing. It is a predictable biological response to a powerful chemical substance. One of the biggest obstacles in addressing this crisis is a profound and dangerous myth: the belief that addiction is a problem reserved for those who use illegal street drugs. This is fundamentally untrue. Prescription pill addiction can happen to anyone, from any walk of life. Because the medications are prescribed by a trusted medical professional and dispensed by a licensed pharmacist, there is an illusion of absolute safety. This false sense of security is a critical part of the problem. The reality is that many prescription medications, especially opioids, benzodiazepines, and stimulants, are incredibly potent substances. They have the power to alter brain chemistry in profound ways, leading to physical dependence and the compulsive use that defines addiction. This essay will explore the complex web of reasons behind the surge in prescription pill dependency. We will look at why it happens, moving beyond simple blame to understand the roles of pain management, medical practices, mental health, social pressures, and the brain's own reward system. We will also confront and dismantle the common myths that prevent people from recognizing the danger and seeking help. Most importantly, we will outline clear, practical, and compassionate steps that individuals can take to break free from the grip of these medications and begin the journey toward lasting recovery. This is a path that requires courage, support, and a commitment to taking one small step at a time. To understand the rise of prescription pill use, we must first look at the person who holds the prescription pad, the doctor. Physicians are trained with a primary goal to alleviate suffering. When a patient presents with severe pain, the most immediate and often most effective tool in their medical kit is a powerful painkiller. For acute pain, such as after a major accident or surgery, these drugs are invaluable. They can prevent complications and allow a patient to rest and heal. However, the pressure to treat pain aggressively has sometimes overshadowed the long-term risks associated with these medications. The healthcare system itself, with its emphasis on short appointment times and patient satisfaction scores, contributes to this dynamic. Doctors are not immune to pressure. They face the immense challenge of managing a high volume of patients, each with complex needs, in very limited time slots. A 15-minute appointment is often not enough to fully explore a patient's pain history, lifestyle, potential risk factors for addiction. In this context, writing a prescription can feel like the most efficient way to provide immediate relief and conclude the visit. Furthermore, doctors may worry that if they don't prescribe pain medication, a patient might leave a negative review or file a complaint, which can affect their professional standing. This creates a subtle but powerful incentive to prescribe, even when other, non-pharmacological options might be more appropriate in the long run. The influence of pharmaceutical marketing has also played a significant role in shaping prescribing habits. They sponsored medical conferences, funded research, and sent sales representatives into clinics with compelling messages that, in some cases, downplayed the addictive potential of their products. One of the most damaging messages was the claim that the risk of addiction was extremely low when opioids were used to treat legitimate pain. This created a generation of physicians who were trained to believe that these powerful drugs were safer than they actually were, leading to more liberal prescribing patterns that have had devastating consequences. It is crucial to state that the vast majority of doctors act with the best interests of their patients at heart. They are dedicated professionals, caught in a complex and flawed system. Many are now at the forefront of changing prescribing practices, educating themselves and their peers about safer pain management strategies. These include a greater emphasis on non-opioid medications, physical therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, and other holistic approaches. The medical community is slowly shifting its focus from simply eliminating pain to helping patients improve their overall function and quality of life, a change that is essential to turning the tide on this hidden epidemic. Physical pain is not the only kind of suffering that leads people to prescription pills. Emotional and psychological pain can be just as debilitating, if not more so. Anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, chronic stress making daily life feel like an uphill battle. For someone grappling with relentless anxiety or a heavy cloak of depression, certain prescription medications can offer a temporary escape. Benzodiazepines, for instance, can quickly quiet a racing mind. Stimulants may provide a short-lived burst of energy and focus. The immediate relief these pills provide can be incredibly seductive. This use of medication to cope with emotional distress is often called self-medication, even when the pills are initially prescribed by a doctor for a different reason. A person might be given a short-term prescription for a benzodiazepine to help with sleep. They discover that the pill not only helps them sleep, but also erases their daytime anxiety. Soon, they start taking it not just at night, but whenever they feel overwhelmed. The pill becomes a crutch, a tool to numb difficult feelings, rather than learning to process them. Over time, the brain begins to rely on the medication to regulate mood, and a psychological and physical dependence can develop, trapping the person in a cycle of use. The connection between mental health and substance use is a two-way street. Not only can mental health struggles lead to drug use, but chronic use of certain prescription pills can also worsen underlying psychological conditions. For example, while opioids may initially produce a feeling of euphoria, long-term use is associated with an increased risk of depression. The rebound effect after a pill wears off can also be severe. A person taking a stimulant to improve focus may experience a crash that leaves them feeling irritable and exhausted, while someone who stops taking a benzodiazepine may experience a surge of anxiety far worse than what they originally felt. This can drive them to take more of the drug simply to feel normal again. To truly understand addiction, we have to look at what happens inside the brain. Many powerfully addictive prescription pills, particularly opioids, work by tapping into the brain's reward system. This system is designed to encourage life-sustaining activities, like eating, socializing. It does this by releasing a neurotransmitter called dopamine, which creates feelings of pleasure and satisfaction. Opioid medications hijack this system, flooding it with dopamine at levels far beyond natural rewards. A drug molecule binds to a receptor and triggers a chemical signal. This creates an intense feeling of euphoria and well-being. The brain registers this as critically important, creates a powerful memory, and drives the person to repeat the behavior. Intense stimulation of the reward pathway leads to rapid changes in brain chemistry and structure. With repeated use, the brain adapts to the drug's constant presence. It may reduce natural dopamine production or decrease dopamine receptors. This process is called tolerance. Tolerance means needing more drug to get the original effect. This is a predictable physiological adaptation, not weakness. The brain tries to maintain balance. As tolerance builds, dependence begins. The brain and body become so accustomed that they need the drug to function. Stopping or reducing dose causes withdrawal. For opioids, withdrawal can feel like a severe flu, muscle aches, nausea, sweating, intense anxiety. For benzodiazepines, withdrawal can be even more dangerous, potentially causing seizures. Withdrawal is so distressing the fear of it motivates continued use, trapping the person in a cycle of use to avoid pain and sickness. This is the essence of addiction. The brain has been rewired. The drug moves from a want to a need in the brain's survival hierarchy. The prefrontal cortex, decision-making, is compromised. The primitive drive from the reward center can override rational judgment. That's why someone may keep using despite harm to health, relationships, career. It's not that they don't care, their brain has been chemically hijacked and perceives the drug as essential for survival. Misinformation about prescription pill addiction is rampant, and these myths create dangerous barriers that prevent people from seeking or receiving help. One of the most pervasive and harmful myths is the idea that if a doctor prescribed it, it must be safe. While doctors prescribe medication with the intent to heal, no drug is without risk. Individual bodies can react unpredictably. Factors like genetics, personal history, coexisting health conditions can increase a person's vulnerability to developing a dependency. True safety involves an ongoing conversation with your doctor about risks, benefits, all available alternatives to a medication. Myth: I can stop whenever I want. However, addiction is defined by a loss of control. As the brain changes, the ability to simply choose to stop diminishes. The intense cravings and painful withdrawal symptoms that accompany physical dependence make quitting incredibly difficult without medical support. Believing you can stop on your own can lead to repeated, failed attempts, which can deepen feelings of shame and hopelessness. Admitting you cannot stop on your own is not a sign of failure. It is the first step toward successful recovery. Perhaps the cruelest myth is that only weak people or bad people get addicted. This belief frames addiction as a moral failing rather than what it is, a complex brain disease. Addiction is not a matter of willpower or character. It can affect anyone, regardless of their strength, intelligence, or social standing. This myth fosters stigma and shame, causing people to hide their struggles and avoid seeking help for fear of being judged. When we understand addiction as a medical condition, just like diabetes or heart disease, we can approach it with compassion and evidence-based treatments instead of blame and punishment. Finally, many people wrongly believe that addiction only applies to illegal drugs like heroin. The truth is that the brain does not distinguish between a legal substance and an illegal one. A prescription opioid molecule affects the brain's receptors in the exact same way as a heroin molecule. In fact, for many people, prescription pill addiction serves as a direct pathway to illegal drug use. When their prescriptions run out or become too expensive to obtain, they may turn to cheaper and more readily available street drugs to avoid withdrawal. The journey to recovery begins with a single courageous step, acknowledging that there is a problem. This moment of realization is often quiet and intensely personal. It might come after another failed attempt to cut back, after a loved one expresses concern, or during a moment of clarity, when the negative consequences of the pill use become impossible to ignore. This acknowledgement is not about admitting defeat. It is about choosing to fight for your life. It requires honesty with oneself, setting aside denial and excuses, and facing the reality that the medication is now causing more harm than good. Once you have acknowledged the problem, the next action is to talk to a trusted healthcare professional. This should be your primary care doctor, the doctor who prescribed the medication, or a specialist in addiction medicine. It is essential to be completely honest about what you are taking and how much you are taking. Doctors cannot help you effectively if they do not have the full picture. Many people fear being judged or getting in trouble, but doctors are bound by confidentiality, and their primary goal is to help you get well. A good doctor will listen without judgment and work with you to create a safe plan to move forward. A critical piece of advice at this stage is to not stop taking the medication suddenly on your own. Abruptly stopping certain drugs can be not only incredibly uncomfortable but also medically dangerous. Withdrawal from benzodiazepines can cause life-threatening seizures, while opioid withdrawal can lead to severe dehydration and other complications. A doctor can create a tapering plan, which involves slowly and systematically reducing the dose over a period of weeks or months. This allows your body and brain to gradually adjust, minimizing the severity of withdrawal symptoms and increasing the chances of success. Asking for help extends beyond the doctor's office. Confiding in a trusted family member or a close friend. Sharing your struggle can lift a heavy burden of secrecy and shame. This person can help you stay accountable, provide encouragement on difficult days, and assist with practical matters like driving you to appointments. It is important to choose someone you know will be supportive and non-judgmental. Getting off the medication is just the beginning. Staying off requires building a new way of life. This means developing a recovery toolkit, manage cravings, cope with stress, address underlying issues. A vital tool in this kit is professional counseling or therapy. A therapist can help you explore the root causes of your substance use and teach you new, healthy coping mechanisms. Cognitive behavioral therapy. It helps identify negative thought patterns that trigger drug use, and replace them with more constructive ones. Another essential tool is finding alternative methods for managing pain or anxiety. If you started taking pills for chronic pain, exploring non-drug treatments is crucial. Physical therapy, acupuncture, massage, chiropractic care, mindfulness meditation, gentle yoga for anxiety, regular exercise, deep breathing techniques, establishing a consistent sleep routine, Community support is a powerful component of any recovery toolkit. Support groups like Narcotics Anonymous, Smart Recovery. Hearing other people's stories helps reduce feelings of isolation and shame. These groups provide a sense of belonging and accountability. They offer a network of people you can call when you are struggling. Knowing you are not alone can make all the difference on the most difficult days. Finally, create a safe environment and plan for moments of high risk. Remove any remaining pills from your home, take them to a pharmacy for safe disposal, or take them to a police station for safe disposal. Identify your personal triggers. People, identify triggers. Identify triggers. Feelings. Once you know your triggers, make a plan to avoid or manage them differently. Create a list of people to call. Have a go-to relaxing activity like listening to music, or go for a walk, or use a guided meditation app. Having a concrete action plan for when a craving hits can be the key to navigating a moment of crisis successfully. The journey out of prescription pill addiction can feel long and arduous, and it is natural to feel overwhelmed at the start. It is important to remember that recovery is not a straight line. There may be setbacks and challenges along the way. A relapse is not a sign of failure, but rather an indication that your recovery plan may need adjustment, or that you need to lean more heavily on your support system. The key is to approach recovery not as a battle to be won once, but as a daily practice of making healthy choices. Every day, every hour, and every moment you choose a coping skill over a pill is a victory. The recovery it offers is profound. It is the chance to reclaim your health, your relationships, and your future. Life without the chemical haze of medication can feel brighter and more authentic. You can rediscover hobbies and passions that were lost. You can rebuild trust with family and friends, forming deeper and more honest connections. Waking up in the morning free from the obsessive thoughts about your next dose, free from the physical sickness of withdrawal, and free from the shame of secrecy, is a liberation that is worth every ounce of effort it takes to achieve. Many thousands of people have walked this path and built beautiful, fulfilling lives. If you or someone you care about is struggling, the most important message is this: there is hope, and help is available. The path to recovery starts with one small, manageable action. Searching online for a local addiction treatment center, calling the national helpline number printed on the back of your insurance card, sending a text message to that one friend you know you can trust, simply saying, "I need to talk." You do not need to have the entire journey mapped out, you only need to be willing to take the very first step. The quiet crisis in our medicine cabinets can be overcome with courage, compassion, and community. By busting myths, understanding the science, and embracing evidence-based treatments, we can help people break free. If you are struggling, know that you are not alone, and you are not broken. You are a person who is suffering from a treatable medical condition. Reach out today, make the call, ask for help. A new chapter of your life, one defined by freedom and hope instead of dependence, is waiting for you to begin writing it.